mate.
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.
Welcome to another episode of Equity Mates, a podcast that follows our journey of investing. Whether you're an absolute beginner or approaching Warren Buffett status, our aim is to help break down your barriers from beginning to dividend. My name is Bryce, and as always, I'm joined by my equity buddy, Ren. How are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. Good to be here for a special bonus episode where we're talking investing, but we're not talking stocks.
No, we're talking trading cards.
Trading cards. Who would have thought? Go back to our primary school days, opening packets of Pokemon cards. I don't know if they made it to Wagga.
Yeah, they did. I was a big trader.
Were you?
But I was very black market trading. I did it quite unethically.
Please explain.
Nah. Doesn't paint myself in a very good picture. It was very profitable. But
what did you do?
No, I'm not saying.
Well, okay.
The
thing is now people's minds are running wild.
That's fine.
Was he counterfeiting cards?
That's fine. I don't want to end up on an episode of Dirty Money on Netflix.
Was he sneaking into classrooms and stealing them from other kids' desks?
Nah, there was an element of that, yes.
Okay.
But anyway, let's not get stuck in too much to what I was doing. We've got an episode where we're going to have a look at trading cards in a little bit more detail, because this episode is brought to you by eBay, where you can buy and sell trading cards. Whether you're a card player, a collector, or an investor, eBay is the platform that you're looking for.
Yeah, and everyone is familiar with eBay. It is the original online marketplace for collectibles and for so much else. It launched in 1999 in Australia, and it is now Australia's #1 most visited online shopping site with over 11 million monthly visitors in Australia. That's almost half the population.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising, actually. I did not know that. Well, we just do want to make it clear as well before we crack in that none of the opinions that we're about to give regarding trading cards are that of eBay. They're ours only.
Yeah, we've done our research, and
Yes.
it is just a fascinating industry and one that we want to chat about today. Did you see that last year in the height of COVID, Target, like the big retailer over in the US, had to stop selling trading cards? Because I think that every Wednesday they would have new stock come in, and there were fights and there were overnight lines for trading cards.
I know. I mean, we did an episode titled something like "Everything's a Bubble," and
that's right.
There was some crazy stats around what was happening in the trading card market.
And we should also say that not only are these opinions ours and not eBay's, but this is definitely not financial advice. Get personal advice. I don't know if you could get a financial advisor to advise you on trading cards, but you should ask if you're unsure. Do your own research. And obviously, past performance is no indication of future performance. The past few years have been incredible for trading cards, but that isn't to say what's going to happen in the future.
That's it.
With those disclaimers in mind, Bryce, tell me about the past few years.
Well, let's set the scene, and this is some data from eBay since the start of the pandemic, where no doubt things really started to take a turn for trading cards. So sales of sports trading cards increased triple digits. Sales of trading cards such as Pokemon, my favorite back in primary school, increased triple digits. And sales of NRL trading cards grew quadruple digits.
That's
NRL.
like more than 1,000% when we say quadruple digits.
Who would have thought I would not have picked that? NBA cards grew by nearly quadruple digits in 2021 as well. So huge growth across all different types of trading cards, sports particularly, NBA and NRL really going to the moon.
And I think we should probably just pause and clarify. When we say trading cards, we do literally mean cardboard printed cards.
Yeah. How do they verify they're not fraudulent?
Well, you should know that. You were black market counterfeiting them in primary school.
Fraudulent.
You were flooding the market in Wagga.
I didn't care. Anyway, according to eBay, the highest price card to sell in Australia in 2021 was a 2018-2019 Prism Luka Doncic card.
Do you know who Luka is?
Nah. Do you?
Yeah.
Who is it?
He plays for Mark Cuban's team, the Dallas Mavericks.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah,
that could be another part of their podcast, Bryce learns pop culture and
True.
high-profile sports figures. Anyway, it's sold for a whopping 140,000 Australian dollars, a piece of cardboard,
Yeah,
a trading card.
If you think 140,000 Aussie dollars is a lot,
I do.
watch this space.
Okay.
Because we're gonna get higher.
So that's the stats from eBay rent since the start of the pandemic. But what else have we got?
Yeah, so we kind of structured this a little bit like an industry deep dive. So let's start by looking at the trading card industry as a whole. According to Digital Journal, the global trading card industry is worth more than $6 billion. And according to this same Digital Journal research, it's predicted to grow at 7.8% a year until 2030, reaching about just shy of $12 billion industry. So they expect it to double by the end of the decade.
Here's an idea. Trading card ETF.
Well, it's funny you say that because there is a trading card index.
There you go.
And it's outperformed the S&P 500.
Well, there you go.
We will get to that.
Okay, nice. Sorry, jumped the gun.
So some of the biggest categories, Pokemon you mentioned, and we spoke about how during the pandemic Target had to stop selling. Magic the Gathering, I've heard of it, I've never played it. It's really the OG card game. It brings in over $1 billion annually.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing. But I think probably the biggest category, or the category that's really exploded in popularity over the last few years, is sports. Now, I said that there's an index that tracks trading cards. The PWCC, not to be confused with PwC.
Yes.
The PWCC 500 index tracks the 500 biggest sports trading cards. So if you were to compare the PWCC 500 to the S&P 500 that tracks the 500 biggest US stocks, which do you think has done better?
Well, you just told me that it was the...
True. And also, I wouldn't be introducing this stat to the episode.
And it's the S&P 500.
So since 2008, the trading card index has returned 216%, and the S&P 500 has returned 135%.
Wow. Yeah. There you go. I will point out, to put a bit of perspective, the projected growth rate for the next, 15 years or so, or 8 years actually, 7.8, is sort of below your average market return. So just putting it in perspective.
There you go.
Just putting it in perspective.
So when we talk about sports cards, this is an American index, so think American sports. Basketball, baseball, hockey, NFL. What do you think is the majority? Where do you think, of that 500 top cards in the index, what sport do you think is most represented?
Hockey.
No. Hockey is 9% of the index.
Oh, okay. Baseball.
Baseball is 73% of the index. So baseball is the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you one baseball player that is currently playing.
Well, the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia, we're jumping the gun a bit, but given you've mentioned it, the most expensive sports memorabilia, not just cards, just any sports memorabilia, is a trading card, and it is a baseball trading card.
Wow.
Do you know the player?
Rodriguez.
No, a Mickey Mantle 1952 baseball card, $12.9 million.
Ridiculous.
What was previously the most expensive was Maradona Hand of God jersey. You know, in that World Cup where he allegedly headed it into the goals. That was about $9 million. That was the most expensive piece of memorabilia, the jersey Maradona wore that day. But then the Mickey Mantle card beat it. And Michael Jordan, his jersey that he wore for in the 96 playoffs, or in a famous game, sold for about $10 million.
Wow.
So this piece of cardboard with Mickey Mantle on it is selling for more than Maradona and Michael Jordan's jerseys.
Wow. I'd be interested to see, though, what's happened to these cards over the last 6 months. And I don't know if we have data, but a lot of these hot assets have taken a bit of a hit. Particularly these ones that are, I would say, in the speculative side more than the investing side.
As opposed to the blue chip trading cards.
No. I'm talking like trading cards full stop. Definitely fall in the Seth
trading cards with a 4% dividend yield.
Seth Klarman will be putting their We need to be clear here that it's a speculative investment. But anyway, let's...
Yes.
Anyway, let's keep moving, Ren.
So you're right, Bryce. Speculative. No doubt about it. We've made some fun of NFTs on our Instagram and looked at what they sold for at the peak of 2021 and what they sold for today. I think Jake or Logan Paul, one of the Pauls, spent like $600,000 on an NFT in 2021 and it's worth $10 today.
Jeez.
So like the bubbles burst.
Yeah.
And the 2021 bubble has burst. But the really interesting thing is that in the trading card space, some are seeing it as an alternative asset class. And there was this story out of the US where PWCC Marketplace, that company that runs that index we were speaking about before, established a $175 million asset-based credit facility with Whitehawk Capital Partners. And what that means beyond the jargon is funds are willing to lend against trading cards.
Crazy.
They see Whitehawk Capital Partners have seen the trading cards of enough like security for a loan to lend against it. You know, you used to have to put your house up as collateral. Now you can put your trading card collection up.
Again, how do they know this stuff's real?
Well, how do you know?
What's the fraud value?
How do you know any asset's real? Like we had Michael Dower on the show a few weeks ago talking about a $3 billion wine fraud industry. Like fraud exists.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just asking the question. Can you loan against a bottle of Penfolds Grange, I wonder?
Probably. Actually, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
I should bring out. I'm trying to buy a house. I should bring out my my Penfolds Grange collection. Yeah, it's fascinating that like $175 credit facility, $75 million, $75 million.
$175 credit facility is what you would have got back in Wagga in 2000.
That's what I was taking out at recess for people to use at the canteen.
Yeah, so I think, but for me, like this story isn't as interesting as what the story means. Like what it shows that's happening in the industry, which is that lenders are seeing it as an alternative asset in the same way they would lend against, you mentioned wine, but also they would lend against art or, luxury cars. Like they see it as an asset that can hold its value enough that if they don't get repaid, they can take the asset and recover their money that way. Yeah. I don't see a lot of people lending against NFTs.
No, well.
But they probably do. No, you know what? They definitely do.
So, Ren, one of the problems that we face as investors when it comes to these niche alternatives is the liquidity of it. You know, if you have a trading card, it's not like it's publicly available and you can turn around tomorrow and say, I want to sell this just like I want to sell my ETF positions.
Yes.
So this Mickey Mantle baseball card, for example, that what did it go for? 12.9 million. Yeah. You've got to find someone out there who's willing to pay more than 12.9 if you want to make a profit. Very difficult to do. Very difficult.
And traditionally, before eBay and before the internet, you would have been going to the sports memorabilia store.
Yeah.
I don't even know if those stores exist anymore.
Yeah.
In your local town or in nearby city or whatever, you'd be driving from Wagga to Sydney to try and flog it off. Definitely.
No, I didn't have to go far.
And you'd be hoping that you could sell it. But because there wasn't a massive supply of potential buyers, you probably weren't realizing the full value.
Yeah.
And so I think, obviously this episode is sponsored by eBay, but it is really online marketplaces like eBay that have enabled these super niche alternative asset classes to exist because they've just created depth and liquidity in these markets. They've expanded your potential pool of buyers beyond the sports memorabilia shop and the pawn shop in your local town to potentially millions of collectors or players or investors around the world. And we've seen like super niche asset classes take off before online and on eBay. Do you remember when Beanie Babies were like a massive asset class?
Massive fraud there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you selling them in Wagga back in the day?
No, I never got into Beanie Babies.
I think they were a little bit before our time.
Yeah.
And obviously that market didn't end up doing too well. So there's a cautionary tale for everyone. These online marketplaces have really been the fuel for... They've been the structural change that has been necessary for this market to exist. Because, baseball cards and stuff, they've always had value, but the explosion of value has really been a liquidity story.
Yeah, absolutely. And in eBay's 2021 State of Trading Card report, yes, that's a report, they announced more than 142% in growth in sales over in the US, which was more than 4 million more cards than the year before. 4 million cards traded. Unbelievable. Here in Australia as well, there's been some pretty phenomenal growth of 379% compared to 205% in China, 149% in Canada, and 113% in Europe. So still pretty solid growth numbers around the world in trading cards on eBay. So it's staggering to think how many are being traded. Millions and millions of cards. Millions of cards.
And millions of cards being traded, and we're seeing records being broken. I said 12.9 million for Mickey Mantle. My mistake, 12.6 million.
I thought you said 12.6.
Well, there we go.
Maybe I wasn't listening. Anyway, 12 point something, but it's 12.6. Yeah.
Apparently the next highest card, and we didn't actually get which card this was 7.25 million.
Jeez.
So Mickey Mantle.
Absolutely killed it.
Yeah. So that's the most expensive trading card. That's the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia. Let's go to Pokemon cards. Your niche.
Yeah.
Let's go to Pokemon cards. Your niche. Logan Paul owns the most expensive Pokemon card in the world. $5.275 million is what he paid to get it. What Pokemon is on that card?
A Razashard.
What is that?
I don't know. So, you don't know that? It's the most super niche Pokemon card going around.
Oh, really?
Well, it's obviously not going to be Pikachu.
I don't know.
Way too many.
We're not playing process of elimination. You got to guess.
I don't know, bro.
It is Pikachu.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
It's like
I feel like
it's like a level 10 Illustrator Pikachu.
Okay.
I think there were only like 30 of these cards made in like 1998, and they were given out or something. Anyway, long story. But yeah, Logan Paul paid $5.275 million for it.
Jeez. I mean, is that an investment, or does he just love YouTube, or has too much money? Who knows? He's the YouTuber, right?
So both of them are YouTubers, and then one of them's gone to boxing. Jake. I think Jake's boxing.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, there you go. So some pretty astonishing numbers coming out of these niche asset classes. We've spoken about it on the show before. As I said, do want to caveat that these are more speculative than anything. If you want more information on investments, tune into the rest of Equity Mates Media. But it's just a bit of fun.
Speaking of a bit of fun, okay. I got a game for you as we get to the end of this episode. So looking at eBay's 2021 State of Trading Cards report, they've got the they've got notable sales, and I assume they're the top 3 sales in sports and top 3 in collectibles. I'll read the 3 and you tell me which you think was the most valuable, and for a bonus point, ballpark me the price.
Okay.
Yeah?
Deal.
Okay, we'll start with sports or collectibles first. What do you want to start with?
You're going to give me 3 from each?
3 from each.
Let's go sports.
Okay, so starting with sports, we've got the 1996 Topps Chrome Refractor Kobe Bryant Rookie RC. That's one.
What is that remote? What is that?
I don't know. It's just there's a whole bunch of stuff here.
Okay.
We've got the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle number 311.
Okay.
And then we've got the 2000 playoff contenders Tom Brady rookie RC.
What's RC?
I get maybe rookie card?
Rookie card?
Yeah.
Remote control card. What's the most valuable?
Which of those 3 sold for the most? So they were the top 3 in the notable sales in 2021.
Well, I mean, my mind goes to this Mickey Mantle one because he holds the record for the most expensive. I'm not really sure if the year, though, would come through. So Tom Brady's rookie card?
You've nailed it.
Nice.
Do you want to ballpark the number?
Like 800,000.
Pretty close. 550,000.
550.
Yeah. The really interesting thing. So one 1952 Mickey Mantle sells for $12.6 million this year, 2022. And another 1952 Mickey Mantle sells for $428,000 in 2021.
Wow.
So I guess that's like the condition of the card, or maybe the really
story
expensive
surrounding
Mickey Mantle was like a a shiny one. That was the thing with Pokemon cards back in the day, wasn't it? There were shiny ones.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
that's
else?
sports. Let's go to collectibles.
Yeah.
So the top 3 in eBay's 2021 State of Trading Cards report. A 1999 Pokemon base set first edition shadowless holo Charizard.
Oh, yeah. Charizard, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
A Gem Mint PSA 10 Magic the Gathering Black Lotus.
Okay.
And a 1999 Pokemon base first edition holo thick stamp shadowless Charizard. Charizard popular, obviously.
I was going to, that's what I was trying to say when I said a Razajard. Charizard. It's either of those two, and I'm going to say the thick one.
No, it was actually the Magic the Gathering.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a card game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that one sold for $511,100.
Okay. Nothing compared to sports.
I mean, it's like, I was about to say it's a house in Australia, but like 15 years ago, it was a house in Australia.
Yeah. All right, Ren. Well, before we close, we do want to bring it back to some actual companies here, given that we're an investment show, and plenty of companies are getting in on the action when it comes to trading cards. Disney is getting in on the action. Earlier this year, they released their upcoming game, Lucana.
Yeah, well, they haven't even released the game yet. The game is out in mid-2023.
Oh, okay.
But they've released some of the cards for it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well,
Promo?
Well, no, I think it's because they're realizing that trading cards are so hot. Yeah. I don't need is probably not the wrong word. Want is probably the word.
Yeah.
But some of these cards, the game isn't even out yet. Some of these cards are already selling for more than $2,000 on the resale market.
It's so strange. It's like saying,
and I think it's
I'm going to release cards for the Essendon Football Club in 2030 when it's not even out yet. How do you know? Anyway, let's not get stuck into it.
I think it's got like Disney characters on it.
Yeah.
So it's like people just want Disney characters.
Yeah.
But I think it's an indication that right now we talk about sports, we talk about Pokemon, we talk about Magic the Gathering, and some other games, like, I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that still a thing?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there's clearly other companies with really strong IP, like really strong characters, are looking at trading cards as another avenue to monetize.
Yeah.
And Disney is the king of having really strong IP and finding millions of ways to monetize that, cruises to movies and everything in between. Trading cards is getting added to the list.
That brings us to the end of the episode. Bit of fun, fascinating niche space, along with many of the others that we've been watching bubble over the last couple of years. So if you are interested to buy and sell trading cards, you can do so. Buy and sell trading cards on eBay. Whether you're a card player, a collector, or an investor, eBay is the platform that you're looking for. eBay is the original online marketplace for collectibles since launching in 1999 in Australia.
And whatever you're trying to buy, trading cards or anything else, it is the #1 most visited online shopping site with over 11 million monthly visitors in Australia. The #1 most visited online shopping site in Australia, I should say.
Love it.
So ebay.com.au.
Check it out. That brings us to the end. Ren, great to chat, and we'll pick it up next week.
Sounds good.
You have been listening to an Equity Mates Media production. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes. Any advice is general advice only and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, needs, or objectives. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs and read the relevant product disclosure statement. And if you're unsure, please speak to a financial professional. The hosts of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media operates under an Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.